Cassie has filed a 35-page lawsuit against one Sean Combs. Dream Hampton has 24 hours to respond. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. When I tell you, I think, no, I believe, we're going to need Andre 3000's album to sage out the rest of 2023, because yesterday I logged out of the Bird app, logged back in, and bam, news broke that Cassie is pursuing a $30 million lawsuit against one Sean Combs, aka Puffy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Diddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Love, right? Now, I'm not going to divulge everything because it's a little explicit, but shout out to one Megan Cuniff, who is the same investigative journalist, law room journalist that was down at the courtroom during Megan Thee Stallion's and I almost called that boy Trey Lorenz. What's that boy's name? The short Canadian bacon nigga from Tory Lanez. Thank you. Whew. Mama was working overtime on Twitter that day. That was a good day, and she was gathering Tory Lanez. So, we got the 35-page document courtesy of Megan, not the Stallion, kind of. And one thing I know is that Cassie, who is also a Virgo like me, we remember everything. We remember details. The stuff that this girl has outlined in this 35-page document, from the forcible situations, violent, physical, sexual in nature, from inception. So they met when she was 19 and he was in his mid-30s. This is before she was signed to Bad Boy. When they met, he was with Kim Porter. She was with somebody else. I believe she was with Ryan Leslie at the time. 2 years later, at a birthday party, I believe it was her birthday party or another celebrity, he pulls her into a bathroom, allegedly, forcibly makes out with her. She didn't ask. She didn't invite. And that like, just before, she's signed to Bad Boy Records. And looking back in hindsight, I'm convinced that all of that was by force. So the other things outlined in this suit is that while traveling together, he was allegedly forcing her to have liaisons with male sex workers as they were going from country to country. He filmed it, He watched, he got off on it. Now, by this point, drugs is allegedly involved, including opiates and Lord only knows what else. Um, I would go as far as to say IV drugs were not involved, but we, those of us that have been paying attention, looking at old TikTok videos from, bad boy days during listening sessions of 112 songs, Diddy dabbles in some stuff. And like this is just very, very chaotic. Um and then there are other aggressive antics that she has witnessed from this man, according to the 35-page document. Him running out the house with a weapon, pursuing other executives at a place that he's heard that they're at. The situation involving Kid Cudi, that Cassie dated Kid Cudi during a cooling off period. Cooling off period from Diddy. I didn't even know this happened. Not too long after he probably more than likely forced her to get back with him, did Kid Cudi's vehicle in his driveway, or wherever it was, mysteriously blew up. Set on fire, what have you. There were also, throughout the duration of their relationship, mind you, they've been together a decade and some change, right? Literally definitely the entire length of this woman's 20s, which, imagine being in your 20s, you've already been forced to, and this is my theory, forced to sign to the label. You've endured years of psychological abuse, the kind of shit that involves intimidation, fear mongering, episodes of threats and blackmail, and if you don't do this, B, C, and D will happen to your loved ones. Just saying. Then throughout that entire time, this person is brutalizing you, stomping you in the face, stomping you all through various parts of your body. And throughout that time, there are moments where you are sent to travel to a far off place to recover. Because we don't want people to see the brutalization on your face and on your body. There was a moment I remember where she started showing up with him with parts of her head shaved. And that's one of the first things that popped into my mind when I saw this 35-page filing, and I was just like, the shit that he had this girl going through. And we kind of just glossed over it at the time because that was somewhat becoming a style. Like, he started seeing other women do it. But I had to wonder, like, did he force her to do that? Most likely. So you have all this happening for at least 15 years. And then when she is finally able to break free, you make songs about her. You disturb, you continue to disturb her life enough that her husband, Mr. Fine, has started to speak up. And this was in like the last 6 months. And I'm like, oh, this kind of came out of left field because we don't really hear anything from Cass. We really don't. And now after reading this, I realize why. Because here's the thing I know about one Sean Combs, aka Puffy, aka P. Diddy, aka Love, is that pretty much from the inception of his life, I'm going to throw allegedly, sprinkle that in here as I'm talking, he has connections. Now, for those of you that don't know, his father used to be a runner for Frank Lucas. And a very, well, all that shit's dangerous over there, but a very dangerous life, which I'm willing to bet my retirement that is what led to his demise when Sean was young. But needless to say, like, one thing about mob life is that one hand washes the other. No matter how many years of your life you've given to a particular faction, your family's essentially covered, right? And I'm willing to bet that it's through that known connection and that known awareness that your family has been part of that life, that gives you license to kind of move move in that way in a similar manner, um, or act as though you're part of that life. You strong arm people. There's something in this 35-page document that says that Diddy allegedly dangles people out of over hotel balconies, off of hotel balconies. Just the sheer blind reactive rage and fits of jealousy, fits of entitlement and possession that this man has showcased over a woman that he also has forced. And nobody's talking, like, why hasn't anybody talked sooner? Then I thought, the dynamite has been lit for a while now. If you actually think about it, the dynamite has been lit for a while. There have been little things here and there, probably the past year or so, leading up to this, where it was just like, like everybody threw themselves out the window when, after years of hufflub and rumors that Diddy was fucking people out of their deals and not allowing them to make money off of their songs, that when news came out during his Love album rollout and him giving this presentation that he's all about love and positivity and all this other stuff, that he has returned or giving the publishing back to his bad boy artists from back in the day. Total, Mace, Faith Evans, I believe, 112, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But here's the thing. After 20 or so years, that only works if there's still radio play. And They're being used in commercials and things of that nature. None of that has occurred the last 15 years. In streaming, the percentage is the rate is so low. There's so many numbers behind the decimal point that you'd be lucky if you make $2 off of 9 million streams. And then on top of that, most of that goes to the songwriters, which leaves very few shekels to the artists. So in hindsight, it was just like that was just a consolation prize at this point. Now, looking back, it was like, okay, he's trying to be wild with the universe. But at some point, you got to think to yourself, so many years of shenanigans that we have only really been just rumored, right? But when you get to my age, someone that's been outside since the early 90s, you know, Puff Daddy, Diddy, his whole status or whatever in the music industry has been part of my life, 90% of my life. As early as like 15 years ago, right? I remember hearing or being told or reading that for whatever reason, industry heads, agents, or whatever have trusted Diddy with young male artists. The first one that comes to mind is Usher. So, right around the time of Usher's first album, the road leading up to his release, the release of that first album, you know, you had Darnell Jones in the mix, you had Faith Evans in the mix, and this is right around the time that Puffy and the Hitmen and, you know, artists he had on publishing deals, just in like writing for various people. You know, Usher, Mary J. Blige doing her My Life album. So I remember reading that Usher's mom or Usher's people bestowed Usher to Diddy to live in Atlanta as his legal guardian. Right. Not too long after that, I remember hearing through interviews later on when Usher was older. This is probably around his somewhere between 8701 and the Confessions album. Word got out that Usher lost his virginity when he was like 12 or 13. So I remember sitting back one day and doing the math. I was like, nigga, that was right around the time of your first album. And who was your legal guardian? Puffy. Then, fast forward to about 10 years ago. Maybe 10, 12 years ago. Same thing with Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber sent to be under the tutelage, and that was probably Usher's idea, under the tutelage of one Puffy. Undisclosed place, undisclosed house, undisclosed adventures. You see where I'm going with this? Like, if I know one thing, Puffy knows the power of the NDA. And I am willing to imagine that in every contract, every agreement, there is an NDA clause. Like, he can definitely work it in there to where he can do and say things behind closed doors, um, expose people to a lot of stuff, whether they want to see it or not, and be protected. Here you have a man that has access to a lot of people and definitely can use his power and his privilege as leverage to strong arm people, intimidate people, force people, but also be, at that time, careful or selective. You get impressionable people. You came across Cassie when she was a teenager. You were a grown ass man. You came across Usher and Justin Bieber when they were teenagers and you were a grown ass man. You can definitely get, you got to think about it. You can definitely get a kid or a teenager to be convinced that, oh, this is just how it is. This is part of the life. We're just having fun. Here's a genius, a production guy. And I've heard Diddy talk. He is very persuasive. And he has a very strong personality. And he could probably be a lot of fun. And here you come from Canada. Here you come from the backwoods of Atlanta or Tennessee or wherever you're from. Never seen this kind of thing before. And he can make hits. Like, when I tell you that Dreamhampton, if there is ever a documentary that will be one for the history books, it would be Surviving Sean Combs. Because this man has had his hands in just about every facet of the industry. This man has associations with a lot of public folks whose celebrity or fame has come off of being associated with him. And a lot of us that are privy to a lot of this information, courtesy of the Bird app, are side-eyeing a lot of folks. Like, Cassie is about to blow the lid off of this thing. And yes, Puffy, Diddy, Sean Combs, or whatever will definitely pay top dollar for this to go away. But everybody has hands on this 35-page document. And what I'm saying is, everybody's curious as to what Farnsworth, what tea he has, what kind of tea Stevie J, if he's cooperative, what has Mary J. Blige seen, what has Lori Ann seen, what has Michael Bivins seen, what has Donnie Klang seen, what has Day 26, Danity Kane, what has Tony Dofat seen? The suits that we've seen pass through episodes of Making the Band, what have they seen? What have they heard? If they have, because one thing I know about, and I'm not like a super spiritual astrological sign, but it's like a lot of what you see or heard about a person is a reflection of the kind of personality that they have. That being said, one Sean Combs is a Scorpio, and they live on being duplicitous in nature, deceptive, controlling, one hell of a temper, uh, argumentative, entitled. They don't appreciate being checked. They don't stand in the shit that they cause. What I'm saying is also very manipulative. They know what to say to who to get what they want out of that person. Very well one way in front of the cameras. Very capable of shutting shit down if they need to. And go from 0 to 1,000 in like 2 seconds. Instead of having effective communication. And we've seen that time and time again on Making the Band. It's very much this. Like, yes, I'll give you $500,000. Make sure you're taken care of. After I've made you sign this badass fucking deal that was already in my favor anyway. You know, it's that kind of thing. He can definitely make you feel like a lady, or like you got things in control and you're in control of your career and your life, and then flip it in like 2 seconds. And it's like, I'm confused. What the fuck is that? So this will definitely be if Dream Hampton is awake, has had her coffee, is looking to redeem herself in some way, because there were bits and pieces of Survivor on Kelly where I was just like, how do you keep a 40-year-old woman captive? And where were the... Anyway, this could be it. Like, what does Usher have to say? Like, Usher's just been catching so many strays. He's been catching so many strays the past 72 hours. Like, this man just wants to go to the halftime show. He just wants to make it to the halftime show, release a new album. And y'all just... There are a lot of people that have worked with him or have had a long-standing association with him that could possibly rip the lid off of this. Like, what does Misa have to say? And when you think about it, maybe Jaguar Wright wasn't too far off base. Yes, Miss Mamas does have mental health problems. But she ain't stupid. Like, she told y'all earlier this year, late last year, asked us the question, how is it that every person either that started Uptown or worked with Uptown or whatever is gone? Andre Harrell, gone. Heavy D, gone. Kim Porter, gone. Albie Shore was almost gone. Pretty sure that life-threatening situation has changed his life. Like, he probably can't even move the same. She even went so far as to say that every single person that was wiped out was planning to release a tell-all book. Now, I don't know if all the marbles left the bag at that time, but thinking about it, I'm like, there's usually a common denominator. So, it just blows my mind. Like the red flags have been there. The red flags have been there, and we can finally now pay attention. You have a woman that has lived to tell 15 years and some change of what she's endured with this man. And when you look back at his appearances, at award shows, speaking, and stuff like that, he's been on something for a while. And when I was looking at some of the spots, the media spots, or the behind the scenes for the recording of the Love album, he's not looking too well. He's not. Diddy's not looking too well. I think all those many nights and days of doing stuff, being on stuff that definitely plays a factor in the crazy antics is catching up to him. And plus, he is pushing 60 almost. He's not looking too well. And before we get up out of here, Carisha, Carisha, Carisha. Hey, Carisha. Hey, girl. Hey. I know you came out recently and said that you would marry Diddy, but you may want to pack several spend the night bags, put on your all white, cream white suit, cat suit, with your leopard print scarf and your leopard print shades, with your hair did. Throw those spend the night bags on your back. Run across 7 lanes of highway to get away from this man. Because it's just not, from a PR perspective, not looking that good. Now, I know daddy finances the lifestyle to which you've become accustomed. I know at this point, especially after that last City Girls album sold less than 7,000 copies in a week, that you're like, look, I'm not going back to the Pork and Bean Projects anytime soon. I'm going to hold on to my man. Maybe not stand by him publicly, but I'm going to still do a couple late night drive-bys privately. And that's, that's your prerogative. But I'm telling you, sis, you might want to put academics on the back burner and sit down. Matter of fact, have a FaceTime call from an undisclosed location with your man and ask him a lot of questions. Now, if I know, like another man knows how good the judge is, he may be forthcoming. I would shop your Carisha Please podcast over to a Hulu or HBO or, the Loudspeakers Network, Apple affiliates or something. Because we don't want, we like you. Half the time I can't understand what you're saying. I'm like, if this girl say down real bad one more time, we like you. But we don't want you to be the next one. No, Cassie will never get the 10 or 15 years back. And A lot of people who aren't in the situation that she endured will say, "Well, why didn't she leave sooner? Why she wait till now?" A lot of us have seen what's love got to do with it. A lot of parallels. Tina Turner was also with a Scorpio. Not only a Scorpio, but a Scorpio under the influence of a lot of things. Scorpio with a lot of insecurities and feelings of inadequacies, ambitious to be something, but yet it's just not enough. And they just take it out on the next, the nearest person, and the nearest person is always the significant other. So she tried, and each time she tried, she was met with more violence. And the moment word got back that she was with somebody else, the car is torched, their car is blown up. And it's not even just the paramours, it's like other executives. Do y'all ever, so a lot of y'all probably don't even remember, but those of us that have been outside since the early 90s remember the, we'll say, allegation. Puffy storming Steve Stout's office over his depiction in the You Hate Me Now video. Him and Nas, Puffy's on the song. It's one of my favorite Nas songs. Stormed the office of Steve Stout, who was managing, I believe, Nas at the time, with baseball bats and some goons. Allegedly cracked this man over the head with a champagne bottle, like Nino Brown style almost. Very, very hush hush. But those of us that were outside remember that. Just saying that, like, he just knows no bounds. Like, he may not do a lot of the physical stuff against another executive because you don't shit where you eat. But it doesn't mean he doesn't know people. Like, there is a way to have something done violently against another person, and you take the rap, and it just kind of goes away. Like, it's just, you got that, and then you got the J-Lo Shine shooting thing, and that madness. Like, I know she would talk. I know she got some stories. Like, that situation was so bad, it made Shine live in Belize permanently after he served his sentence. Like, I'm sure Shine has a lot of shit to say. I mean, it pushed, experiencing Diddy made Loon go to another religion. And it's just mysterious circumstances around Craig Mack's death, Black Rob's death. Like, it's just, it's just people in the industry, or, artists, so to speak, realize that, like, this man's only in it for himself. Never once wrote, visited, called Kim while she was in prison. It was actually Mark Jacobs that was putting money in her books and keeping in contact with her. And it's like, after years of benefiting off of somebody, you throw them away when the brand changes or the perception is different. And it's like, God forbid somebody do that to you. And you want people to believe you all up in the videos, you all up on the song. I mean, we already know that, like, the artist already has the songs written, recorded, produced, and stuff. You come in from whatever vacation spot, say your little ad libs, then leave. It's like, it's this man has come up off of a lot of people's back. And you add to that the realizations that people are coming to. Like, does that not make for the best surviving documentary? I mean, lifetime budget or production budget may be too small. This is some Netflix, HBO type shit. And with that, I'm saying, this is Mr. Foxy I Refuse podcast. I am going to go back and continue to read this 35-page document. Like, I had to make sure I downloaded it because I want to read this with some whiskey and all that jazz. Like, this is going to turn everybody upside down. And it's already starting to, like, other people are popping up with their stories and stuff like that. Whether it's on IG, whether it's on some podcast episodes, some blogs and stuff like that. Like, they got Gene Deal, but I know he's seen some stuff from his experiences being Diddy's bodyguard. I will never forget that story he said where there was some kind of mayhem in the lobby or the hotel, and two men came out of Puffy's room, allegedly, and nothing but towels. Allegedly, it was Puffy and Ja Rule. So getting to the I Refuse podcast, season 5 is available wherever you get your podcasts. If you want more of this kind of style, I turn up on there. You know, there aren't any strikes against me over there. So I'm messy over there. So we're over there. I Refuse Podcast After Dark is over there. Season 2 is coming in January. The Usual Suspects Season 2 is out as well. We have the YouTube channel where this video is. Get into the Twitter at I Refuse Podcast. Links are in both social media accounts. IG as well, at I Refuse Podcast _ between the words. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Can't believe it's next week already. Already doing my Christmas shopping. African American Friday is next Friday. As you go towards that particular day, remember that rent and the mortgage is still due on the 1st of December. I don't want to be seeing y'all out in these lines for 6 hours next Friday. And then there's like a GoFundMe by the 31st. But y'all take it easy. We'll catch y'all guys later. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse